What's up, guys? KAMIKAZE-FOX coming to you from SRL. Sandro Racing League PS4, F1 2019 on the PS4 platform. And I'm still trying to get myself together here, but we're getting ready to do round 14 here at Spa-Francorchamps. Got 18 drivers set to race today. Gonna be pretty awesome. And cannot wait to get involved. Just trying to get a few things situated here. So let's recap last week, round 13, the Hungarian Grand Prix at Budapest. Nick Van Gelder walked away with his first pole position of the season. Took him all year to get one, but he couldn't hang on to the top spot as Tim Bentic would walk away with his third win of the season. Luke Mathiasen came home second. That was his fourth podium of the season. Nick Van Gelder did manage to get to the podium, finishing in third, and then Dion Stahl had a great run to fourth, followed by Foons Van Houten, who we haven't seen a lot of recently, but he had a good run. And interestingly enough, Foons actually finished fourth the race, but a little bit of contact between him and Dion sent Dion spinning, so the stewards swapped the positions at the end of the race. So Dion came home fourth, Foons Van Houten was fifth, and then sixth was Jack 04F1. That is Giacomo Chiasoni, is possibly how you pronounce that. He's Italian, it sounds like. He came home sixth. Jur Marusic was seventh. Lewis Marshall had a tough day, got caught up at turn 3 on lap 1 in a huge crash, had to do damage control. He came home 8th. Sandro Dulius, Hungary has not been good to him. He came home 9th. Robin Huddersteigen was 10th. And 11th and 12th was a bad day for Haas. Reese March and Sam Brandt, 11th and 12th, respectively. And then 13 through 16 was all DNFs. Jan Holm, Colin Higgins, Ivan Brito, and Brian Power. Rounding out your 16 drivers for last week. Unfortunately, Jan Holm, he actually had a really good run going. He was actually running towards the front of the race during one of the pit sequences. Got called out in the weather. It rained. He switched over to intermediates way too early in the run. Ended up costing him some time, and eventually he lost traction altogether. And unfortunately, he crashed out for his 8th DNF of the season. Colin Higgins with his 2nd DNF of the season. Ivan Brito, fan favorite, it was his 4th DNF of the season, and Brian Power with a 6th DNF. And just want to talk about Ivan Brito real quick. For some personal reasons and matters, he came to us earlier this week and said that he was unable to make any more of the races for SRL for the time being, which is really too bad because he's a fan favorite, Portuguese. He's a part of the PTRL, the Portuguese Racing League, with Jorge Correa, and unfortunately we've lost Jorge Correa and Ivan Brito this year. But we certainly wish Ivan Brito the best of luck. Great guy, loves to race, and we certainly wish him the best, and whatever personal matters he's got going on, we certainly hope in this time of need and everything else going on in the world that he's okay. So we wish him the best with his future endeavors, and hopefully we'll see him back in SRL again. And then interestingly enough, he left, and there was talks of possibly trying to get back an old OG, as we call them, Pedro Mesquita from season 1, and Pedro did reach out, but unfortunately there's a time constraint there. So we tried to get a Portuguese driver back in the fold, but he works, unfortunately, the same time we race. So no luck there. But we do have 18 drivers on the grid today. We'll run down the driver lineup here in a couple minutes. Here at Spa-Francorchamps. So with all the craziness going on in the world, it's good to see that we've got this many drivers lining up. That's a couple weeks in a row now that we've had a good, almost a full grid. The car count this year, the average car count has gone up slightly. It was about 11. It's now up to about 13 as far as an average car count goes. And we've got some guys chiming in on the live chat. Foons Van Houten, Sandro Dulius, Nick Van Gelder, and Jor Uberbach. Not sure who that is, but always good to have somebody joining in on the live chat. And we've got rain for qualifying, so we're going to do an 18-minute short qualifying session followed by a 50% race. We do got some new drivers in the fold today, so good old Spa-Francorchamps. Been always an epic race in real life. Great racing here at SRL. Season 1, Edmund Newman came home with the win. And then Season 2 was Francis McGinn. And Season 3, Killian Brady, the infamous Killian Brady, won Season 3. And then last year, Francis McGinn won. Francis McGinn, the only multi-race winner here at Spa for SRL, and unfortunately not racing this year with SRL. We certainly hope to see him back, but he has moved on to bigger leagues. I'm not going to say better because that's left to be determined, but he's doing some esports stuff, trying to make a name for himself, and we certainly hope that we will see Francis back someday. We don't see too many repeat winners at a lot of these tracks, especially Spa, because it's so easy to get caught up in a crash here. So it looks like we've got Reese March going to be the first one out on an out lap. And speaking of new drivers, here's one of them. This is going to be Jensen Floyd. Looks like he is going to be in the Mercedes with Lewis Marshall. He's out on full wets. We also have Salim Hadid. He's going to be in the factory Renault. He's still currently sitting in the pits. He is Lebanese. So good to have international drivers from all over the world. And we will see Foons Van Houten again this race. So he'll be back again today. See if he can put in another good effort like he did last week at Hungary. And no ticks. That is going to be Sam Lissenberg. We haven't seen a whole lot of him this year. So to run down the driver lineup, we've got Sam Lissenberg in the Williams. We've got Robin Herderstagen in the Racing Point. Reese March in the Haas. Salim Hadid is in a McLaren, not a Renault. That is my fault. Sam Brandt in the Haas. Jensen Floyd's going to be rocking the Mercedes. Dion Stahl, of course, is going to be in the Ferrari. Looks like he's going around at the top of Radion. Widowmaker, that's going to be Jan Holm. Struggled last week in the wet. We'll see what he can do today in the qualifying in the wet. Colin Higgins is going to be in the factory Renault. Johan Marusic in the Red Bull. Jacob Vagos is going to be Toro Rosso, I thought. Brian Powers in the other Racing Point. Tim Ventic, your championship points leader. He's got a 22-point lead over Lewis Marshall heading into today's race. He'll be in the factory Renault. Sandro Dulius in the other factory Ferrari. Lewis Marshall second in points. It looks like we had a little contact there between possibly Salim and... Yep, that was Salim Hadid. I'm not sure what he was doing on his out lap, but now he's got himself wing damage. And we've got Foons Van Houten, Nick Van Gelder, and Luke Mathiasen all on full wets. Trying to get some of the... Looks like we had a car off at the top of Radion again. So 14 minutes left to play. Nobody has set a time yet. Now, pole time around here under normal race conditions, about a minute 43 in that area, maybe a minute 42. Average lap times around 144, 145. So we'll see how drastic the changes are here in the wet. As we see the two Red Bulls, this is Nick Van Gelder, followed by his teammate Johan Marusic. Van Gelder, Season 4 defending champion on F1 2018. And Nick Van Gelder had a very memorable race back here, Season 3, where he was drifting and sliding his car all over the place in the wet conditions. I believe he came home fourth that race. Yellow flag, Sector 2. And Foons Van Houten is the first driver to set a time, 2:06.202, followed by Jensen Floyd in 2:12. We're going to pick up Nick Van Gelder again. He's heading into the bus stop chicane. This will put him right back out on the front stretch. eases back onto the power. And this looks like it's going to be a pretty good time from Van Gelder, 2:01.732. So he's going to take provisional pole, followed by Yermo Rusic's teammate, 2:03.750. So the Red Bull's sitting 1-2 right now. Robin Herterstegen just came across with a 2:04.103. And we're picking up Sam Lissenberg, and it looks like he's got some massive right front wing damage, so he's going to have a huge loss of downforce. And Luke Mathiasen just came across the line, 2:02.685. Sandro Dulius comes across the line, 2:04.967. Lewis Marshall, 2:03.848. So you see a couple of these guys are definitely off the pace a little bit. And there's good old Ivan Brito joining us on the live chat. Good to see he's able to still watch the race with us. Unfortunately, he cannot participate for some personal reasons. And big moment here. That was Lewis Marshall heading up the top of the hill. And look at that, Sam Brandt, 2:01.859, good enough for third. But look at Tim Ventic, the first driver into the sub 2-minute range, 1:58.749, putting his stamp on qualifying. And that is a massive lap by Tim Ventic. And yellow flags flying in sectors 1 and 2. Great qualifying effort by Sam Brandt, though, 2:01.859. Pick up Dion Stahl. Looks like Dion Stahl has blown the top of Radion coming through Eau Rouge. Jan Holm looks like he's at the section just past the Kemmel Strait. And Brian Power, looks like we've lost Brian Power. He looks like he may have crashed out of qualifying, so he'll be starting in the back of the field. Pick up Jacob Vagos in the Toro Rosso, heading through that downhill left-hander, that sweeping left-hander. That's a tough corner to make in the dry. So still waiting. Oh, and Salim Hadid has crashed out, it looks like. So he was in the McLaren. He did not set a time, so he'll be starting in the back with Brian Power. How many more drivers do we lose? So we've yet to see lap times from Sem Lissenberg, who's currently on an outlap. Looks like he had to fix his front wing. Reese March is currently on an outlap. Dion Stahl's on a timed lap right now. It doesn't look like he's at full song, but that could be just the weather. Could be very deceiving. Down to the bus stop chicane, yellow flag, sector 3. That's exactly where Dion Stahl is right now. And Luke Mathiasen has just set a 1:58.775 to try and snatch that top spot. And Dion Stahl looks like his time was invalidated. Did not set a time as he came across the line. That was probably from his off at the Eau Rouge Radion sequence there as he's heading into now. And another big moment. He manages to keep it on the track. That was a little scary. You can see it almost over-rotate going towards the top of the hill, Radion. So he's going down the Kemmel Straight now. And it looks like we've got a battle for pole. 1:58.749 and 1:58.775. 26 hundredths of a second separating first and second spot. Meanwhile, running along with Dion Stahl, who's yet to set time as he heads down the hill here. And the car already wants to understeer a little bit, heading on downhill, this downhill section. Right, left, and then this other left-hander. The cars want to have a little bit of an understeer push going into these corners as it is. And then with the wet weather, it's going to be obviously amplified a lot. You see him really struggling. He's trying to keep his steering input to a minimum. Ooh, a little too much curb on that one. Really had to saw at the wheel that time to save it. And you can just hear how lightly he's trying to work the throttle. Shifted very early in the RPM range. Now this time, it's going to be a fairly good time. This should put him mid-pack. Nice, 2:01.156, mid-pack, my ass. That's a third-place spot right now. Great qualifying effort by Dion Stahl in the Ferrari. And that gives him a 0.6 of a second cushion over Nick Van Gelder, who was your provisional pole sitter a little while ago. So great effort by Dion Stahl. And Colin Higgins was one of the drivers we were waiting to see a time from, and he finally did come across the line, 2:02.365. Good enough for 7th so far. Yellow flags flying, sectors 1 and 2. And Higgins is going to dive into the pits. We'll pick up Nick Van Gelder again. Coming through the best bus stop chicane. Looks like he's going to be a little bit off the pace this time. He's going to dive into the pits as well. We'll pick up Reese March in the Haas, and he's clearly not putting in a lap time as he blows the corners at the end of the Kemmel Straight. Then we'll pick up Jan Holm. Currently 12th fastest, 2:04.514. Runs very wide here. Now you can definitely see a racing line starting to become present. Wonder if any of these guys will try and make a last-ditch effort on some intermediates. That may be why we're seeing so many guys in the pits right now. Now, to me, it looks like it might be a little too wet for any type of intermediates, but it's qualifying. You never know. Somebody might try and take a gamble, make a last-ditch effort to snatch that pole position. In fact, let's take a look here, see if anybody's got... So we do have some drivers that are going out on the intermediates. We got Sam Brandt, Jensen Floyd, Colin Higgins, Lewis Marshall, all diving out or switching over to intermediates. And Jan Holm is going to dive into the pits. Ooh, moment there as he almost clips the left rear to the wall. We've got a Haas off. That's going to be Reese March trying to get out of the way of oncoming traffic. And here comes Herrsteigen coming out of the bus stop chicane. Can he improve his time? 2:03.093, so he improves his time by a second, moves himself up into 8th spot. So good improvement by him. And Lewis Marshall, we're going to pick him up. He's on the intermediates. He's actually behind Robin Herrsteigen. He's just now starting his hot lap. So we're going to keep tabs on him as he heads out to Eau Rouge and up to the top of Radion. Oh, big moment there trying to save the car. Back on the gas. Pick up a little bit of a slipstream off of Herrsteigen's racing point as he heads down the Kemmel Straight. Oh, but Herrsteigen's got to get out of the way. And this is costing Lewis Marshall some time for sure. We're going to yellow flag sector 1, and Herrsteigen still in the way. Big lock up there, and Lewis Marshall he's basically going to have to abort this lap. I mean, unfortunately, I understand that there is no essential blue flags in qualifying, but you guys need to be aware of your surroundings. Lewis Marshall clearly on a hot lap. He's definitely the faster car out of these two. And Herrsteigen already set his hot lap. So it sounds like Lewis is trying to give himself a little bit of space. And Jacob Vagos is retired from the session. Looks like he may have crashed out. His time's going to be locked in at 2:09.936. Good enough for 15th so far, but unfortunately we didn't see a time from Salim Haddad or Brian Power. So those two are going to be starting 17th and 18th. Sam Lissenberg is the only driver to not set a time that's still technically on track. He's currently in the pits, classified in 16th. So less than 3 minutes to play in the session. We're going to have a lot of guys that have now, looks like everybody has switched over to the intermediates with the exception of Jan Holm and Robin Herrsteigen. They're both still on full wets now. Jan Holm is currently in the pits. So Lewis Marshall is going to try this again. He's got Sandro Dulius in front of him. Now, Sandro's a little bit more aware of his surroundings. He's been racing in this league for a long time. He started this league. Smooth transition through Eau Rouge and Radion. He's down the couple straight. He's going to pick up a little bit of the slipstream off of Sandro's car. Looks like we're in a car trying to stay out of the way. That is going to be Sam Brandt in the Haas. And again, Lewis Marshall catching up to the back of another car. And again, Sandro, and he's going to drive through him. Okay, so apparently these cars do not recognize themselves on track. So Lewis Marshall, unfortunately, struggling to try and find a clean lap. He's now down in 10th. Yellow flag, sector 2 and 3. So we're down to the final minute, and I've got a lot of guys on out laps. Here comes Tim Ventic. He's going to start his final hot lap. Can he put a stamp on qualifying? Right now, your provisional pole sitter, 158.749. And looks like Jacob Vagos explaining what had happened to him for qualifying. So unfortunately, he crashed out. Lewis Marshall does set the fastest time at a 156.417. Now on the stream, it looked like he was having some issues with traffic again, but he's 2 seconds faster than Tim Ventic, who we're currently watching. So Lewis Marshall goes to the top of the charts, and he did cross the line with enough time to set another lap if he has to. And now Tim Ventic is coming up on Sem Lissenberg. Sem has not set a time. And is he even on a timed lap? He is on a timed lap right now, but he's got Ventic breathing down his neck. So this is unfortunate for Lissenberg, because he is going to have to get out of the way of Ventic, because there is a faster car coming, and that's going to cost him a little bit of time. And you see Herderstagen, Jan Holm, and Foons van Houten, their times are locked in. Herderstagen with a 2:03.092, currently 10th. Jan Holm is 2:04.514, currently locked into 13th. And Foons van Houten 2:06.202. Now those could change. And Lewis Marshall has retired from the session, so he's going to call it a day. His time's going to be locked in at that 1:56. We're watching Sam Lissenberg. And really, we're not really watching him, but we're watching Tim Ventic. Luke Mathiasen to the top of the charts. Oh, and look at this. Lissenberg trying to set a time for himself, and he's in the way of Ventic. Ventic's going to use a crossover move. Oh, no, they make contact, so Ventic is going to come across the line. He's going to be locked in at the 156.532. Good enough for third. Lewis Marshall drops to second as Luke Mathiasen sets pole at 155.976. Sam Lissenberg does set a time of 2 minutes and 2:23. Colin Higgins, fourth, 158.566. Yerman Rusic, 158. He's into sixth. Sandro Dulius coming out of the final corner now. Nick Van Gelder's retired from the session. His time will be locked in at that 2:01. Oh, he's crashed coming out of the bus stop chicane. Sandro Dulius jumps up to fifth. Where is his teammate? Teammate is coming through the bus stop chicane now. He's going to have to deal with Nick Van Gelder's crashed out car on the front stretch. And Dion Stahl comes across the line to finish qualifying. He's going to pop himself into sixth spot. It's a great qualifying effort by a number of drivers here. Great qualifying by Colin Higgins to put himself behind his teammate. And Tim Ventic's time got ruined by Sam Lissenberg. So here's your starting order. Luke Mathiasen with another pole position, followed by Jensen Floyd, who comes out of nowhere to take the second spot. Lewis Marshall third. Tim Ventic drops to fourth. Sam Brandt up to fifth. Dion Stahl is sixth. Sandro Dulius is seventh. Colin Higgins is eighth. Yerman Rusic is ninth. Reese March is 10th. Sam Lissenberg is 11th. Nick Van Gelder 12th. Robin Herderstagen is 13th. Jan Holm 14th, Foons Van Houten is 15th, Jacob Vago 16th, Salim Haddad and Brian Power 17th and 18th. They were not able to set a time as they both crashed out. And we did see that Jacob Vargas, he did tell us what happened to him in the live chat here. So he crashed out as well. He was able to set a time. Unfortunately, it was a 2:09, and that puts him back towards the end of the grid. So Luke Mathiasen with his 4th pole position of the year, and it looks like we do have ourselves a dry race. So this is going to be very exciting. So you'll definitely be able to get an idea of how much faster these cars are in the dry versus the wet. Pole time was 1:55 on intermediates. They were running around 2 minutes a lap. So going to be about 15 seconds faster here in the dry, possibly even more, as we wait for the game to get reset. And it's taking its sweet, sweet time. And while it does that, you can be sure to check us out in a couple of weeks, where we will be doing the Italian Grand Prix at Monza. Next week, we'll be doing Road America on Project Cars 2 for the IMSA LMP2 category. So be sure to check that out next week. And then in 2 weeks' time, the Italian Grand Prix at Monza. So they're off on their formation lap. Luke Mathiasen with his 4th pole position of the season. He'll be looking to try and hang on to that top spot and walk away with another win. Jensen Floyd making his SRL debut and made a great one in qualifying, coming in 2nd. He outqualified his teammate and championship points contender, Lewis Marshall, who will be starting in 3rd. Lewis is going to be trying to make up for a rough race last week where he came home 8th. He is starting in front of his championship rival, Tim Bentic. Bentic's got a 22-point lead heading into today's race. He's going to be looking to try and extend that points lead if he can. Sam Brandt with a great qualifying effort in the wet, starting in 5th. And he's going to be looking up to make up for last week where Haas team came home with no points at all. Dion Stahl coming off of a great run last week in Hungary where he was finished in 4th. One of his best finishes of the year. He's followed by his teammate Sandro Giulia starting in the 7th spot. The Ferraris will be looking to try and work their way through the field. And Colin Higgins, he's going to have to work his way through the field and see if he can give his teammates some support and help Tim Bentic in his championship venture. Meanwhile, Yerma Rusic is starting in the 9th spot. And he'll be looking to try and keep that going as he came home 7th last time out. He'll be looking to put some points on the board for Red Bull Racing. And Reese March, once again, Haas with no points last week. He'll be looking to put some points on the board today. And Sam Lissenberg will be starting in 11th. There may be some action on his part, possibly. The stewards are going to have to look into the qualifying issue between him and Tim Bentic. Very hard to say what could come of that, but he's going to be starting in the 11th spot. He's going to want to work his way into the points. And Nick Van Gelder, Season 4 champion, starting in 12th. He had a good qualifying effort under full wets. Couldn't put a lap together in the intermediates when the rain started to dry up and the track started to give us a good racing line. He'll be starting in 12th, trying to work his way into the point standings. He's coming off of his 3rd podium of the year. He'll be looking to try and get another one. Robin Hernestagen is going to be starting in 13th. He's obviously going to want some points as well. Jan Holm is starting in 14th. He's looking to finish a race as he has a league-leading 8 DNFs. And Foons Van Houten making another appearance here today. He's got his work cut out for him after he came home 5th last week. He'll be starting in 15th. Jacob Vargas wants to make up for his qualifying mistake, as he'll be starting in the 16th spot. Salim Haddad is going to be starting in the 17th spot. He did not set a time. And Brian Power rounds out your 18 drivers for today's race. And we wait for the 5 red lights. Lights are out. Time to run what you brung. It looks like Yerma Rusic gets a good jump. We've got some shuffling going on in the back. A bad start there by one of the Ferraris. That Sandro Julius has already fallen down in the pack. And we've got some cars around. It's just a mess. This is, oh my goodness, this looks like Formula One Belgium Grand Prix 1998. Look at all the cars that have crashed out. This is unbelievable. What has happened? What a mess. There's cars everywhere. We've got, oh my goodness, this is just, We've lost Jan Holm, Jacob Vagos, Foons Van Houten, Colin Higgins coming through what is just an absolute melee and just debris everywhere. Virtual safety car already. And I couldn't even keep up with what happened. There was cars spread all over the place. Luke Mathiasen is your leader. Tim Bentic has jumped up into second. Sam Lissenberg is in the third spot. Dion Stahl is into fourth. Nick Van Gelder somehow has managed to get all the way up to fifth already. Reese March is in sixth. Sandro Dulius drops back to seventh. Robin Herdestagen is in eighth. Salim Haddad has started in the back of the pack, has worked his way into ninth. And Lewis Marshall dropped through the field to 10th. Jurma Rusic is essentially 11th. And Lewis Marshall has left the session. I am going to chalk that up to a rage quit. And Lewis has gotten the short end of the straw the past few weeks. He's been caught up in some wrecks that weren't necessarily his fault. He's had to do damage control in a lot of races this year. And that had shades of 1998 Belgium written all over it. The only thing we were missing was the rain. And unfortunately, there is no backup car to restart the race for these guys in. Lewis Marshall, you see he's got wing damage. Looks like we're back to racing under green. So what a mess of a race. Sandro Dulius dives into the pits. And Tim Bentic, he looks like he got away clean. Salim Haddad has retired from the session. He's currently running in 8th, so I don't know if that is, that was a good start for Salim. I don't know if he's having internet issues or not, but I wouldn't have given up that easily. Salim had a great start from the back of the pack. Started at 16th, he's up to 8th. And he just left the session, so going to let these guys run around here for a minute or two, let this get reset as we see a lot of cars in the pits. We started with 18 cars down to 14. That 14th car is Lewis Marshall. He's left the session. So unfortunately, that is going to be a big deal. Looks like this championship is now falling into the hands of Tim Bentic. Lewis Marshall was the closest points contender. He was 22 points behind heading into this race. The other driver that was points contender earlier on this year was Vasilios Belasiotis, but he has since retired from SRL online racing. He's moved on to racing on PC, and he had some very choice words for Paired Masters and F1 2019 as a game. He does still compete in the LMP2 class on Project Cars 2 for the IMSA series. He is the points leader there, so Vasilios is still racing with SRL, just not in F1 2019. And it looks like all of these cars are pretty much spread out at this point. Luke Mathiasen is your leader as he comes around. And it looks like Salim Haddad has rejoined, so he's possibly having some internet issues. Certainly hope he can get a handle on that as he's got a good start to this race running in 8th. Luke Mathiasen coming across the line to start the third lap of what has been a hectic race already. Tim Bentic is currently running in 2nd. Sam Lissenberg is in 3rd. Dion Stahl is in 4th. Nick Van Gelder is in 5th. Reese March behind him is in 6th. Robin Herdestagen up to 7th. Salim Haddad, we talked about a couple of times now. The Lebanese driver is up to 8th spot. Sandro Dulius coming in and out of the pits. Got caught up in the lap 1 melee. He's on hard tires now. He's currently running in the 9th spot. Sam Brandt is currently running in 10th after starting in the 5th spot. Jensen Floyd, who started 2nd, all the way down to 11th. Jurma Rusic is in the 13th spot. Colin Higgins is in 13th, and Lewis Marshall currently running in 14th, and I want to say that's his car, but his car's not Ghost, so I think his car's AI, though. I think Lewis has retired from the session, or at least left the session. So, and after all that, don't have much of a battle going on in our hands. We do have a battle here for 10th that is shaped up. This is Jensen Floyd. It looks like he's going to have the DRS advantage. He dives out of the inside. He's going to be easily able to make that pass on Sam Brandt, even though Brandt's on the medium tires. Jensen had enough speed going down the Kemmel Straight to make that pass and get around him. So, what an opening couple of laps to this race. And Ivan Brito, who says Jesus or Jesus, depending where you are in the world. And yeah, that was quite the melee. I didn't even know what car to try and click onto to see what was happening. It was just so many cars involved in that wreck. I want to say there was probably a total of 8 to 10 cars involved in the wreck. 4 of them have crashed out, which is too bad because Jacob Vagos, I mean, he's a reserve driver, so it was good to have him here. Foons Van Houten, that's a 0873. He hasn't made a lot of races this year. Came off a great 5th place run in Hungary. And yes, I will have my work cut out for me, I'm sure, after this race and the stewards panel. It's going to be a very busy weekend on the Google Hangouts incident chats for the SRL stewards, that's for sure. It looks like Jensen Floyd is able to pull away from Sam Brandt. Your Marusic just ran the fastest lap at a 1:47.777. And unfortunately, it looks like now the cars are pretty much spaced pretty well apart. And Jacob Vago saying that he got sandwiched, I'm sure, going into turn 1 or coming out of turn 1. It was a bit of a mess. So currently riding along with Luke Mathiasen. He is your leader, well out in front after the opening melee. And it looks like Lewis Marshall has gotten around Colin Higgins. Where's Higgins? Oh, Higgins has had an off at Eau Rouge. So that was the top of Radion, and he's now going down the Kemmel Straight. He's got no front wing, so Lewis Marshall's car will pick up an extra spot. And unfortunately, there are no close battles on this track. We do have one shaping up here. This is Dion Stahl. Oh, and look at this. Sam Lissenberg dives into the pits on lap 5. So that's going to hand over the 3rd spot to Dion Stahl. So maybe the soft tire is starting to wear out. Looks like Nick Van Gelder's diving into the pits. He was on the softs as well. And we've got ourselves a virtual safety car. That is going to be done and gone. It came and it went very quickly. So some guys may have been trying to... some guys may have tried to be taking some advantage of that virtual safety car. They dived into the pits. So while all this is going on, we can talk about April 1st. April 1st is going to be the start of a new month, and that is when the transfer window opens for the drivers to switch teams if they want to for the next season. Not too much going on in the rumor mill right now. What we do know is that Sandro Dulius and Dion Stahl will be locked into for Ferrari for a unprecedented 6th season. They've been teammates since the beginning of SRL, and they will stay teammates, and they will stay in Ferrari. Now, Reese March and Sam Brandt are going to be locked into Haas for another year, and that's good to see. Haas needs some consistency. That's going to be Sam Brandt's 3rd or 4th season in the Haas seat, and it'll finally be his 2nd season in a row where he's had a consistent teammate with him, so Haas will be looking to do well next year. I wanted to say Lewis Marshall would be locked into the Mercedes, but after today's race, I'm sure he's going to have to do some anger management after what had happened, and he's currently running in 13. Nick Van Gelder is expected to stay in Red Bull, but it's not 100% sure. Joe Marusic, I believe, is expected to stay there with him as well. But the big story, I think, is going to be McLaren. Who are going to drive the McLaren? If you remember back at the beginning of the season, McLaren looked like the team to beat as far as the team championship when they had 2 very strong and capable drivers at the beginning of the season in Rennie Van der Stappen and Cameron Weston Edwards. And they actually had a fairly good start to the beginning of the season, going all the way back to round 1. Actually, if we take a look at the notes here, Cameron Weston Edwards kicked off Season 5 at Silverstone with a podium. Him and Rennie Van der Stappen finished 3rd and 4th in that race. And then round 2, Cameron Weston Edwards backed it up with another podium finish, coming home in 2nd. But unfortunately, when we got to... I believe it was China? Yeah, unfortunately, when we got to China, things had fallen apart for the McLaren team, and that was round 8. Rennie van der Stapp subsequently was banned from the league for the remainder of the season after purposefully taking out 2 drivers in the middle of the race. Cameron Weston Edwards was disqualified from round 8 for a similar situation. Oh, no, and look at that. Big moment there for Dion Stalls. He slaps the left rear into the tire barrier, really cooking it coming out of that corner. We've got Salim Haddad trying to hold off Sam Lissenberg. And Jacob Bagos and Foons Van Houten talking here on the live chat about the incident that happened on lap 1 where 8 cars, it looked like, were involved in a massive melee. There's actually like 2 piles of cars. But back to the McLaren story, after round 8, obviously Rennie van der Stapp gone, Cameron Weston Edwards disqualified. He also had a race ban to serve the next time out. So the team kind of fell apart without Rennie. Cameron, unfortunately, past the first of the year in January, had to deal with some personal matters and some schooling, so he wasn't able to attend most of the races. So he's basically retired for the season. So that left the McLaren seats wide open. Now, Salim Haddad is currently in one of those McLaren seats, trying to hold off a hard-charging Sam Lissenberg. Salim didn't qualify very well today's race. He started 16th. He wasn't able to put up a time in the wet qualifying. Jumped up to 8th very quickly after the melee at turn 1. And he's been running pretty solidly. He's up to 6th spot. And we've got Ruud Svensson on the live chat trying to root for good old Robin Herderstag. He's currently running in 5th. It's a good effort by him. We do have this battle for 6th going on. Lissenberg in the Williams trying to get to the rear of Salim Haddad's McLaren. Oh, and he's going to try and look to the inside. So Lissenberg, and this is going to be the flat-out section of this track. Sweeping left-hander. Now can Lissenberg set him up for the bus stop chicane? He's not close enough to make a move. Thought for a second there Haddad was going to outbreak himself. Now, while these two are battling it out, it looks like Nick Van Gelder's starting to come into this picture. So we could have ourselves a 3-car battle start to materialize. 3-second time warning for Sandro Julius. He's currently running in 9th. And Lewis Marshall has stated that, whoa, the big moment for Haddad! And he's into the barrier. Oh, he lost it at the top of Radion. And he has crashed out. He had such a good run going. He was feeling the pressure from Lissenberg, and he crashes out. It was too bad for him. And it looks like Lewis Marshall is going to be hanging up the helmets for SRL. He's just put it in the live chat there. He'll see me in IRL. That is the International Racing League. But he is not staying here. That is unfortunate. Lewis Marshall. He's a very interesting driver. I've commentated with him a couple of times. He's a great co-commentator. His driver input is very detailed, and he's very good at driver. He's also, I want to say, passionate. He's gotten the short end of the stick the last few races, and I guess everything came to a head today, so he's going to call it on SRL. And it's not the first time he's been in SRL and wasn't able to complete a season. He was banned last year. But he's a good racer nonetheless. He's got a lot of wins under his belt. He's still searching for a championship between SRL and IRL and some of the leagues that I deal with. So, but he's going to be, he's got F1 speed. So in IRL, he'll be racing in the F1 tier. Now, IRL's got 3 tiers. They do F1, F2, and F3 races depending on how quick the drivers are. So Lewis Marshall, you can definitely expect to see in the F1 category, and we've just lost Sam Brandt, who was running in 11th. And we're going to pick up Lewis Marshall's car. I don't believe he... Oh, and there you see, that was Sam Brandt, and he just whizzed by. And Nick Van Gelder has now closed the gap to Sam Lissenberg. We've got ourselves a virtual safety car because of the Sam Brandt situation. So virtual safety car. So we started with 18 drivers. We've now lost 6. Sam Brandt will be classified 13th. So Sam Brandt, Salim Haddad, Brian Power, Jan Holm, Foons Van Houten, and Jacob Vagos all done for the race. That is 13th through 18th. And it looks like Luke Mathiasen has taken this time to try and capitalize. The DRS is enabled, so that means we're going back to green. Mathiasen is pitting, so that is going to, let's see what Dion Stahl does. Dion Stahl is going to stay out on the medium tires. So this is actually going to hand the lead over to Dion Stahl. Nope, Dion is going to be coming out of the corner. Ooh, that's tight. He barely gets in front of Tim Bentic. So Luke Mathiasen was able to pit and come back out, keep the first spot. And Salim Haddad has now officially left the session. And Lewis Marshall expressing his displeasure with some of the drivers on the live chat. So battle for second here. This is Tim Bentic running in the third spot behind Dion Stahl. Now Bentic's going to be on the fresher tires. We've also got a battle for sixth. Oh, and here goes Nick Van Gelder as he dives to the inside of Lissenberg at the end of the Kemmel Straight. And he's able to take that spot. Lissenberg's trying to come back, and now it's a drag race down to the next corner. Van Gelder's got the inside line. Lissenberg doesn't want to give it up. Back to the battle for second, and this is Bentic to the inside of the sweeping left-hander downhill. Oh, and he's going to slam the door on him as he cuts across his nose. Bentic up to second. Meanwhile, Lissenberg and Van Gelder still battling it out. And we'll get Sam Brandt in here to co-commentate with us and maybe give us a little bit of an idea of what happened on that opening lap. It was a bit of a mess. Sam Brandt, who commentates for the SRL IMSA LMP2 series. So we'll get him in here as we watch Nick Van Gelder still trying to hold off Sam Lissenberg. Lissenberg hasn't given up on this battle. Reese March just dived into the pits. He's going to lose a few spots as he heads back out. And here we've got Sam Brandt with us now.
Hello, hello.
Rough day. Looks like you crashed out there on the sweeping right-hander towards, what was that, Sector 2?
Yeah, just coming out of Sector 2, the wall that extends outwards just as the when you run into the corner that just moves on, which leads up to Blanchimont. So, yeah, tough day.
And did you have a view of what happened on the opening lap?
I think, well, I can only say what happened from my experience because I was involved a little bit. In turn 1, I broke for like the normal braking marker like everyone else, but then for some reason halfway through towards turn 1 my brakes decided to not work, so I started speeding. I didn't slow down enough, so I think I tapped the inside of both Lewis and Jensen, and then basically from there I had a half spin and then everyone from behind just rammed into me, basically. I didn't see what happened behind me because I got absolutely rammed from behind.
Now, is that a problem with possibly the wheel setup or your brake pedals or glitch in the game? Or
no, because usually, well, it's always a little bit difficult going from wet to a dry race, obviously, from wet qualifying, where you brake a little bit earlier. So it was probably down to a mistake from me as well, but there was definitely some, I don't know what you want to say, glitches with the game, because I don't think you should lose that much brake power even if you are in dirty air. So, but yeah, it's a bit of a tough day. It's good to see that Reese is doing well, though.
And that is Reese March. He is currently up to 7th, and we're watching Nick Van Gelder still trying to find his way around Robin Herdestegen. He's going to go around the outside. He had the DRS advantage as they head down to Kemmel Straight. So Herdestegen in 5th. That's a good run for him, though, in the Racing Point. And Sam Lissenberg just picked up a 3-second time penalty heading through Eau Rouge, so that might cost him at the end. And it looks like Jensen Floyd just got around Sandro Dulius for the 8th spot.
Yeah, he's on a massive charge, and he's definitely going to the end on those hards. Unless, of course, there is a safety car at the dying laps. He might switch over to softs, but otherwise I think he will be more than pleased to just keep on these tyres. And I think Reese might have... Yeah, he's lost the M plate on his right side of the rear of his front wing.
He just brushed the wall coming out of that right-hander, it looks like, and saw the pieces flying in Jensen's view, so... It's going to cost him some downforce.
That's going to cost him major time over the course of this race, and could possibly cost him his previous position of P4, not only because of the downforce loss, but also because Jensen is all over his rear now.
And Jensen going to the outside as they head down through this flat-out section. He's easily able to make that pass. I'm surprised Sandro Dulius has lost as much time on this lap as he has since Jensen got around him. He's driving on the hard tires as well. I would think he's going to probably take them all the way to the end, wouldn't he?
Yeah, I think so. I think those three drivers we see in shot right now, Reese, Jensen and Sandro, they're all going to the end. And we have a virtual safety car again. And that is because of Colin Higgins has crashed, I think.
Yep, Colin Higgins was running in 12th, and looks like he has crashed out as well, so... Another one bites the dust.
And surprisingly, we haven't had a full safety car yet. I was kind of expecting when I crashed, since I was stuck in the middle of the track, basically, that there would be a full safety car, but I suppose it keeps this game keeps giving. So,
and it looks like we're back to racing.
But I want to say that Dion is having a really good run at this race so far, alongside with Robin, obviously, but they haven't boxed yet, so still a little bit uncertain where they're going to filter in once they come out.
And Lissenberg is closing in on Herdestegen, as we just talked about him. But I believe you said he hasn't pitted yet, and no, they are the only two drivers currently on track that have yet to pit.
But crucially, for them, obviously, both Robin and Dion have started on the medium tyres, so they have the fastest tyre, I expect, the soft tyres to come. So they're probably hoping that there's going to be like another safety car once they box, because then they could really gain from it.
And here we go, Lissenberg to the inside. Oh man, Herdestegen closed the door on him through that left-hander. And now down to the bus stop chicane, Lissenberg's not going to be close enough to make a move.
He's going to have DRS though, so it will be, I probably expect a two-phase move towards turn 1 and then up a Rouge and Radion.
And it looks like Sandro Dulius has just got around Reese March at the bus stop chicane. Reese struggling with that loss of downforce. Now that happened on lap 12 where he lost that part of his front wing. Should he have taken the gamble and just pitted and gone back out?
Well, honestly I don't think so, because there is a good chance that he will score points today. And I mean, well, you could say that he should maybe have gambled it, because it is risky running around this, especially this track with a loss of downforce going up, especially the hill and through the fast sweeping corners. But Yeah, maybe another safety car, virtual safety car, could have helped him out in his decision making a little bit more, but I expect him to score at least 1 point today. I don't think he's going to be overtaken by Euro at this point.
I think if anything, at this point, he's got a 35-second gap back to Lewis Marshall. He should pit, switch his front wing. He could probably come back out still in 9th spot. It would be pretty close.
The crucial thing is that Lewis is, I don't believe he's in the lobby anymore. I think it's an AI car.
You're correct. He is an AI car. Lewis has expressed his frustrations on the live chat for the stream here, but
it is understandable because lap 1 it was absolutely mayhem.
He's got caught up in last week's wreck. He's had a couple races this year where he's caught the short end of the stick. He hasn't necessarily been involved in any incidences that were necessarily his fault this year, but he seems to be getting the short end of the stick a lot here lately, and I can understand frustrations boil over, and as we've seen in the past with him a couple times. But really good racer, very fast. And
Robin has made a mistake coming into the pits there. I don't know if he's lost his front wing. I think for the first time I've actually seen someone undershoot the pit entry. I've seen people overshoot the pit entry, but I've never seen someone turn in too early. That's an amazing thing.
Looks like they're not going to switch the wing, so must have not done a whole lot of damage to it, if any.
And Dion has also boxed now, so
Dion has pitted, and oh my goodness, he's got Lissenberg all over the back of him. Oh, Jensen Floyd! What has happened to Floyd?
Rouge. He's crashed in Radion.
Oh, Tapple Radion, and he is done.
He's done a Kevin Magnussen, basically. I would imagine that he's lost the
Oh, and look at this. We've got a full-course safety car.
So now would be a good time for the likes of Reese to maybe make a pit stop to get that damage fixed. And if Robin has some minor damage, also get that fixed. Because everyone is going to be bunched up after this. But, yeah. So we're
unbelievable.
Down to
That's too bad.
drivers.
Floyd was on a good tear there for a while. So we started with 18. We're down to 10. So the good news is if you finish the race, everybody gets a point.
Yeah, I suppose that is correct. But it will be interesting to see, because we have some guys out there who are on the hard tyres, but we also have the likes of Dion and Robin who are on the softs. So they're going to be super fast.
Well, this is really going to benefit Dion because he just came out of the pits on those soft tires, and he's not at race speed, so he's going to be able to save those tires a little bit.
Matthias and Venting has made a pit stop, and they've both gone on to soft tires now. I might expect Nick to come in as well. Yeah, he does. So Dion is going to be up into P3 right now, and Sem comes in as well. Oh, Nika's having some trouble in the pit lane there. Has he got damage? No, I don't think Sandro's coming in.
Same Lissenberg, Sandro, Reese, they're all coming in. Let's see what Robin Herterstegen does. Now, Robin
he stays out.
He stays out, so that might benefit him, get him up into the points here a little bit further.
Well, he could be up in all the way. Yeah, he's up into 4th now.
Let's see who's coming out.
Yeah, it's
going to put him in 4th spot.
Oh,
great run by Herterstegen.
Yeah, that's a really good run from him. Good strategy again. You will remember if you watched Austria, I think it was. He also had a really good race there, but that was also ultimately down to strategy. But a really good run, and once again, it looks like he has nailed the strategy. Boxed 1 lap before the safety car came out. So, yeah. Him and Dion, they're getting huge profit out of this safety car. Let's just hope it's not glitched like it was in Barcelona.
And Roy Svensson on the live chat, who's been cheering on Robin Herterstegen. So a good run for him today for sure. Dion Stahl up into 3rd. He's finally caught up with the safety car. So we're waiting for the rest of the field to catch up to the safety car. So basically going to be like a 3 or 4 lap shootout towards the end of this. Maybe 4 or 5 laps.
Yeah, because if the safety car goes to, well, we expect it to go around 3 laps. That's going to be lap 19. Then we only have 4 laps left of the race. And, well, tyre wear and fuel management is not going to be a problem because everyone is probably running in lean right now. And the tyres are not suffering any damage right now. So it's going to be a sprint race, effectively, towards the end. So
probably going to do one more lap, it looks like, under the safety car. Looks like most of the pack is caught up to the safety car. Looks like we're still waiting on Reese March, Lewis Marshall's car, and then Jure Marusic.
So, and you will also remember, I think it was in last season, Jure had a really strong race here last year. This was, I think he finished 4th in that race. It was in wet conditions, however, but he has expressed that this is his favorite track. So,
and yes, you are correct. Jure Marusic finished in 4th spot last year.
So he could be on a charge as well. The only thing that could hamper him is that he is on the mediums and not the softs, like pretty much everyone in front of him. And he's looking to stay out on those tires. So he's hoping that there's going to be a huge crash on the restart, which, well, I don't think we should put that away, that there could be a huge crash.
You never know. Turn 1 here is very chaotic. I mean, it was the opening lap here was shades of Belgium 1998 all over again. And,
exactly.
Unfortunately, a lot of drivers caught the short end of the stick, and I mean, Jacob Vagos, obviously Lewis Marshall expressed his frustrations, Brian Power, just got all caught up in it, and it was basically 8 cars, it looked like. And but I don't think it all fully stemmed from your braking issue. I mean, obviously the replay would have to be looked at a number of times, but a lot of cars, a lot of guys, I mean, Foons Van Houten and Jacob Vagos had talked on the live chat. It looks like, somebody was trying to go 3 wide, and Jacob got sandwiched at one point.
Yeah.
It's just a lot.
That's the problem running down towards a Rouge after turn 1. The track narrows all of a sudden because there is a pit entry for, I think it's the international or the national circuit. There's a pit entry there, and therefore the pit wall extends a little bit out, so the track narrows within 3 meters. On 3 meters it goes from 3-4 cars width to only 3. So that might be the reason why so many got taken out, because the track narrows and everybody was trying to fit through at one point.
Yeah, because really, Eau Rouge, you really have to be single file going through there. It's just, you cannot go too wide. It will never work.
No, I don't think so. Otherwise, you're just going to have some big balls, pretty much. Or either that or be really stupid. But restart is underway now, it seems.
So Luke Mathiasen, who has shown a lot of speed so far this year, they are back to green as the safety car is in. And a little bit of separation between the drivers, so that's good as they head down into turn 1.
There's going to be a slipstream fest coming down to Camel Straight now, especially from P3 down all the way down.
I was going to say, it looks like that is going to start with Dion Stahl.
So here we go. Up Radion and Rouge. There might also be a battle for the first position, possibly.
Looks like Herderstagen has lost the spot to Lissenberg.
Here comes Sandro. Can he make it? Yes.
No, Van Gelder holds him off, and a 3-second time penalty for Dion Stahl. That's an unfortunate series of events.
I wonder how he got that, if it was because of multiple warnings or what it was. But
3 seconds now would really drop Dion through the field.
That is a little bit unfortunate. Wait, we're gonna look. I'm just gonna take a look at the race director to see what actually was the cause of this. It was multiple warnings, so it's probably the good old-fashioned corner cutting penalty, and I think no. There's a lot of smoke in the background. I thought someone had spun there.
Now Tim Ventic and Luke Mathiasen have checked out on the rest of this field. They've got a 2.5 second gap over third spot, which is Dion Stahl. Dion Stahl's got the pressure coming from Sam Lissenberg, Robin Herderstagen, and Nick Van Gelder. Van Gelder looking to make a move on Herderstagen as they head down into bus stop chicane.
And he's shown the outside
Ooh,
for this
he's going
corner.
to the
He has
outside.
Oh.
Great move by Van Gelder. He tries to get the power back down. He pushes him wide, and now it's going to be 3 cars heading down into turn 1. It's a drag race to turn 1. Sandro Julius on the outside of Herderstagen. Herderstagen.
Oh, they make it there.
They make it.
Really?
Very good job on Herderstagen's part to not outbrake himself.
Oh no, here we go.
Here we go. Who's got the big balls?
So who has... Oh, Sandro just squeezed in front. Just
and
before
Herderstagen lets off the gas, but here comes Reese March. Reese March is going to have a head of steam now.
Yeah, Robin had to lift a little bit because of Sandro, and Reese is going to have the overspeed here, I think. He doesn't go for it, though.
I'm a little surprised.
Ura's into the pits now. For some reason, he's switched to the
look
soft
at this.
tires.
Sam Lissenberg was in the grass.
Oh no, and Nick has spun. Nick has been tacked around.
Oh, Van Gelder gets contact, and there's more contact. They come out of the corner now.
What is going on? That's Reese again, who's lost some end plate there.
Reese is going to be kicking himself.
Put on 2. This is not
that's not going to work.
Ooh.
And it looks like Van Gelder's got some wing damage, maybe.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it looks like the end plates, the very end plates are gone on the front wing. So at least the good news there, it's going to balance out the front wing since it's both gone on both sides, but a loss of downforce, and that's unfortunate for him. Sandro, meanwhile, is now all over the back of Sam Lissenberg for the 4th spot.
This could be a really good result for Ferrari if they can keep their act together. And he's going to go for the
dive to the inside.
He's going to turn to the outside, though, once we head through the bus stop. Ooh.
Oh, no! He taps him!
Oh, no.
That is probably going to get looked at the end of this race by the stewards.
And it looks like Sandro's doing could have given Dion a podium, possibly, if Sandro gets further penalties. Oh my days. This battle for 5th is not over. Nick is going at Robin here.
Nick on the outside, he's got that low downforce on the front.
Oh, and Sam has crashed. Oh, this is going to bring out a safety car for sure. He's in the middle of the camel straight. He smashes it into the wall.
Going to pick up Jurma Rusic is going to be the only driver that will be able to see possibly where the car is.
So coming up here.
Going up through
He should be on the middle of... He should be in the middle of the track coming onto the camel straight here.
Yep, there he is. And I am really surprised that they didn't throw a virtual safety car for that at least.
Might be too short of a race distance left to actually do something.
I do believe that is correct. I think I heard or read something about Codemasters, like the virtual safety car, or at least the safety car I know, no matter what the conditions are, will go in and leave at least 3 laps remaining in the race.
And to be fair, the whole field is bunched up, so the marshals would have time to recover the vehicle. And it is not really in the racing line, it's just off. So.
And Tim Ventic has closed the gap back up to Luke Mathias in the battle for first. Still raging on with 2 laps to go. Going to hop on board with Ventic, see if he can get a good run coming out of turn 1 down to Eau Rouge.
If he has some overspeed, well, he is in the slipstream, obviously. Hopefully, the Williams is not there when they come around. Oh, it's removed now.
The DRS slot open on Ventic's Renault.
He's going to have it here. Down
to the inside.
Oh,
a little bit oversteer. Oh, they touch.
No.
And what has happened?
Could this give Dion a chance now at the win? Oh my goodness. So Luke has not... he has damage.
He's got
on his
right front end plate is gone. We're going to pick up Ventic. Ventic's right front end plate is gone.
Dion doesn't have damage.
Dion doesn't have damage. He does have that 3-second time penalty.
Well, the only thing that would be sensible for Ventic and Mathiasen would be to stay out and try and keep ahead of Dion.
Absolutely, at this point.
And obviously also try to avoid getting penalties themselves, otherwise it could be a real shit show for them. Just saying as it is, pretty much.
And look, Mathiasen is coming back on. He got around Ventic. Ventic struggled coming out of that last corner, and now Mathiasen is back out in front.
Has Venting played a bit of sportsmanship here and actually let him past because he knows he probably turned him around?
I was on board with Ventic when it happened. Unfortunately, I didn't get a good view of what had happened.
But look at Dion. He is not far behind right now.
Dion within 2 seconds of these guys, and really...
Oh, he cuts another corner there, even though it's very difficult to cut turn one. He even manages to do that, so he is the Tiamat Marduk of SRL, pretty much. But yeah, Venting, I don't think he's able to stick with Luke at this point.
Looks like he's got a little bit more wing damage and loss of downforce.
Yeah, and with that also, the dirty air becomes a little bit bigger once you lose downforce in the beginning. So,
yeah, he's going to get a lot of aero wash coming off of the back of Luke Mathiasen's Williams, so he's going to struggle on these downhill corners. These downhill corners, the car really seems to want to understeer on a good day, and with all this loss of downforce, you see he runs a little wide coming out of that corner. Dion looks like he's picked up the pace a little bit.
Well, you would... Oh, you should not... Oh, Dion. He's doing a very dangerous move there, touching that inside curb through Pouon there.
Yeah, that definitely wants to throw the car around.
That is... Well, from other drivers, that would be a no-go, pretty much. But Dion looks to be gaining a lot of time through Sector 2, which is the twisty bits of Spa-Francorchamps. But in a straight line, it looks like... maybe even the damage and the reduced drag from the two cars in front is helping them a little bit in a straight line.
Yeah, they definitely seem to get a little bit more speed. This is going to be interesting because there's going to be obviously some time issues at the end of this race. Luke Mathiasen's going to come across the line first, followed by Tim Ventic, followed by Dion Stahl.
Is he going to drop?
Dion's got that 3-second time penalty, so Sandro gets the podium for now.
He could possibly get P2 if there's enough penalties, but let's look at this.
Nick Van Gelder. Oh, Robin Herderstagen. Oh, Van Gelder must have had a boatload of penalties. So he drops way through the field. Herderstagen up to 5th. Reese March 6th. Lewis Marshall's car comes across 7th. Van Gelder drops all the way to the 8th spot. And Jor Marusic will come across in 9th.
So a really, really bad day for Red Bull.
What happened to Nick Van Gelder? I didn't realize he had so many time penalties stacked up against him. Very uncharacteristic of him, especially at this track.
Yeah, I wouldn't be expecting that from him, definitely. But provisional podium here. But there's going to be a lot to look at for race stewards.
Yeah, the stewards are definitely going to have their work cut out for them this weekend. Obviously, the big melee at Turn 1, and then there's a lot to look at between Tim Ventic, Sam Lissenberg, Luke Mathiasen. And then obviously the incident between Sandro and I believe it was Sam Lissenberg at that time. What had happened there. So, I mean, this obviously going to be unofficial results. Good to see Sandro on the podium.
This is, I think it's his second podium of the season, as of right now.
And coincidentally, Sandro did finish 3rd here last year as well. So, unofficial results, Luke Mathiasen picking up another win. Championship points leader Tim Ventic coming home in 2nd. Sandro Dulius is 3rd. Dion Stahl 4th. Robin Herderstagen, who gets my vote for driver of the day, comes home 5th. Reese March is 6th. Lewis Marshall is 7th. Nick Van Gelder 8th. Jur Marusic is 9th. That is your only points-paying position. Sam Lissenberg and Jensen Floyd, Colin Higgins, Sam Brandt, Salim Haddad, Brian Power, Jan Holm, and Foons Van Houten, Jacob Vagos, all with DNFs in today's race.
Oh my days, that is...
And Sandro celebrating his podium in the live chat. He says, yay, podium. Again, incident between him and Sam Lissenberg to be looked at.
Well, it could, if he's unlucky, it could remove him from the podium, but it would mean that his teammate gets pushed onto podium instead. So, podium for Ferrari, it seems.
So, good day for Ferrari, coming home 3rd and 4th. That's a good points day for them. So,
I would say Racing Point also, they had a really good day, even though Brian unfortunately retired. But Robin, well, a master drive, P13 on the grid when the race started. It didn't seem like qualifying suited him in the wet, but
yeah, absolute great run for Herderstegen here at Spa-Francorchamps today for sure.
And yeah, a bit of a messy race, I would say, pretty much. But I suppose you could say everything kicked off at lap 1, so it was never destined to be a clean race. It looked as we saw lap 1. So,
well, this has been round 14. Now, be sure to check us out in 2 weeks' time, where we'll be doing the Italian Grand Prix at Monza. Next week, we're going to be doing the IMSA series, the LMP2 class, and that's going to be at Road America, so there'll be more racing next week. I'll be on track that day. Sam will be in the booth. And then in 2 weeks' time, we'll do round 15, the Italian Grand Prix at Monza. Guys, be sure to like, subscribe, and comment to the YouTube channel. Been some crazy racing today. Check out prior videos and get caught up on the season. And we'll see everybody at the next round.